I grew up loving professional wrestling. Most of my fondest childhood memories revolve around watching wrestling with my dad. I remember sitting on the couch in awe as these real-life superheroes defeated the forces of evil in a 20 by 20 squared circle. My guy? Hulk Hogan. Now, during the Attitude Era, my entire family was into WWE, and we would all watch the shows together. In fact, it wasn't a rare occurrence to have over 20 people in my home on a pay-per-view night, and I got in trouble several times the next morning in class for falling asleep. But, I was watching wrestling. See, but that's the thing about life. People get busy, they'll lose interest, and then they'll just move on. Most of the people who I used to watch wrestling with might know who John Cena is, but that's about it. The internet wrestling community was a place for people like me, people who still liked wrestling, we still enjoyed watching it, but we didn't really have anyone left to talk to about it with. Most people in the IWC just want to talk about something they're interested in as a hobby. And then there's the people whose entire identity revolves around them being a wrestling fan. Their word is the law, and should you have the audacity to question them, well, you're in for a wild ride. I'm Broski, and this series is about those members of the IWC. The ones who have Twitter gimmicks, and they use it as a shield for when they fuck up. They'll make threats, they talk shit, and they're smarter than you. They'll flood your mentions, and then somehow claim that you're obsessed with them. The ones who just can't step away from their gimmick. It's still real to them. This is Twitter user Bubba CW. She's a wrestling fan, and like many wrestling fans, she enjoys talking about whatever is going on in the world of professional wrestling that week. Bubba had a pretty active Twitter account with over 2,000 followers on it and gaining daily. However, unfortunately, that all came to an end on Christmas Eve of 2019 when an argument over a match caused her account to be suspended permanently. In the following month, she would lose 3 more accounts. You see, Bubba has opinions, and she isn't afraid to engage when someone challenges her. Now, I want to state right off the bat that Bubba isn't an angel. In fact, when I asked her about her part in all this is what she had to say. I'm no saint. I sometimes antagonize people and jump into arguments without thinking. And I know that can be off-putting to some people, but I think I'm treated differently in regards to how people react to that because I'm a woman. There are plenty of outspoken men that are praised for being antagonistic and direct. I've been told many, many times to shut up, little girl, and called a bitch more times than I can count. I was told I deserved to be raped. I was told I should kill myself. Hardcore stuff for having some wrestling opinions. If I ever posted something that was a hot take, there were always 3 kinds of people that responded. Number 1, people that agreed. Number 2, people that said, oh, no, I think the opposite because blah, blah, blah. And number 3, the most common type, was people irrationally angry that I dared to say what I said. They would quote tweet me and call me a dumb bitch, would call me all the names under the sun, and call me a retard, etc. So I would respond and usually get into arguments with those people because I'm quite easily antagonized. A lot of people appreciated me tearing those people new assholes. But I would rarely go out looking for people to argue with. I rarely enter other people's mentions to argue unless their tweets were needlessly shitty in the first place, you know? Now, to be fair, Bubba did talk some shit, and to a certain extent, you can absolutely criticize her for that, but the reaction to her banter was so outrageously over the top that it's hard not to feel for her. No one should ever be told they deserve to be raped over anything, especially something as meaningless as a wrestling opinion. As the harassment continued, Bubba further clarified her situation in a statement she released on her Twitter account. It reads as follows. Rarely does anyone come into my mentions after I've posted an opinion they disagree with and go, I actually disagree and here's why. They instead choose to go, oh my god, this is the dumbest thing I've ever read. You're a stupid bitch. How the fuck can anyone be this dumb? Someone needs to shut this girl up. So when people think I'm a condescending, angry bitch, maybe ask yourself why I react that way to people. I'm more than willing to have a civil discussion about wrestling, and I do enjoy hearing different points of view. I do not enjoy people entering my mentions in a hostile manner to put down my opinions. It's the way that you approach it that will elicit an equally, if not more hostile, reaction from me. So, Bubba likes to banter. No big deal, right? Well, not exactly. You see, one fateful night, Bubba got into an argument with a guy named Chris about a wrestling match that had taken place in All Elite Wrestling, or AEW. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. We still have a few people we need to meet first. This is Chris. Now, Chris isn't a very big part of our story, but he is an important one. And as I mentioned earlier, an argument between Chris and Bubba is essentially the genesis for everything that happens later on. Now, I don't know too much about Chris. He isn't really relevant until later on, but I felt like this rant was important to include. I think it gives a pretty good indication of what Bubba dealt with on a daily basis. Chris doesn't like Bubba.
Just know she's a glorified pussy. I'm just, at this point, I'm just tired. I'm tired, like, literally, I'm just drained. Drained. The fact that people can go on social media and talk all this shit, yet when it comes to this certain individual that I'm not gonna mention.
Just so we're clear, he's talking about Bubba. Every time he says this certain individual, he means Bubba.
This certain individual is the biggest clout chaser in his entire community. And people don't see that. Oh, because she's a girl. Is she giving you pussy? No. Is she giving you attention? No. Is she gonna be there for you when shit gets real? No. Twitter is a cesspool.
Hey, we agree on something.
This certain individual
Bubba
wants to compare. And by the way, I seen Full Gear on Saturday night on my phone while I was in New Jersey. Great show.
Full Gear was a wrestling pay-per-view event that was put on by AEW, and yes, he is in fact this mad about Bubba having a different opinion on a wrestling match that most people don't even really remember.
So, this certain individual, Bubba, who I would not mention, by the way, if you guys follow me on Twitter, you guys know what the fuck I'm talking about. This certain individual,
Bubba CW.
And I don't want to go too long about this. I'm just going to speak my mind on it, and that's about it. So this certain individual,
Bubba CW, please, just say it,
wants to compare the Cody Jericho ending to the Wyatt Rollins ending at Hell in a Cell.
I'm sorry you had to go through that. That must have been very traumatic for you.
If you are smart about this.
Smart. Good one.
You know damn well you should not be comparing a great match like Jericho and Cody to a terrible match like Rollins and Wyatt back at Hell in a Cell.
Now, you see what Chris did right there was express an opinion. But Chris doesn't see it that way. But hey, don't take my word for it.
There is a difference between stupidity and an opinion. A massive difference, folks. A massive difference. I don't give a fuck what you say. I don't give a shit.
Okay, so what did we learn here? There is a difference between stupidity and an opinion, which he never elaborates on, by the way. I checked. The difference is in fact massive. And Chris doesn't give a fuck what you say. He doesn't give a shit. Now, as enlightening as all that was, I think it's pretty safe to say that Chris might not be so tolerant of other people's opinions. And at the time of recording his video, Chris's Twitter was suspended for 7 days. Now, it's safe to assume that this video was shot late Monday night, as the rest of it is a Monday Night Raw review, which means that he had at least 6 full days left on his suspension. Chris wasn't mad though, oh no sir. He had himself a little plan.
Wait till I get back on Sunday. I'm causing hell on Sunday when I get my Twitter back. And people want to think, oh, Chris is crying because he got his fucking Twitter temporarily suspended. Once I get back on Twitter, it's a wrap, folks. It's a fucking wrap. That's all I am. I'm not going to sit here and talk shit about this chick for like a good 10 to 15 minutes. I want to just review the show, upload it for you guys, and then just go about my fucking night. That's it.
It's a wrap, huh? Remember that. So that was Chris, but there's one more person we have to meet. And from this point forward, our focus is about to shift. You see, Chris has a friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms, and I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to the channel on YouTube.com. As of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle, no.
This is DJ Storms, aka Man of Charisma, Patronizer DJs, and JV Thunder 1. Why so many accounts? Well, you see, Storms is easily one of the most hated people I've ever seen come into contact with the IWC. In fact, I wasn't even originally making a video on Storms, but his name came up so often while researching someone else that I decided to switch focus entirely. And with tweets like these, it's not exactly difficult to put the pieces together and see why he's so strongly disliked. The majority of the wrestling community are idiots. They live in a fantasy bubble thinking everything is sunshine and rainbows. They are considered to be like trash and say it's the greatest thing ever. I speak the facts and bring them down to reality. That's why people hate me. A word of wisdom to everyone. Everything I state is real, pure facts. I'm right, you're wrong. End of story. If you don't like the truth I'm speaking, then don't tweet me. Failure to abide by this rule will result in muting, blocking, and reporting of your account. Have a good day. Smarter than you, stronger than you, better than you. I'm not going anywhere. So, needless to say, Storms has an ego. He believes he's a brand. He unironically has a Twitter gimmick, which he often uses as a shield when he says or does something that gets him negative attention. Storms has a group chat that he calls the DJ Storms Posse, and this is where he mostly plans his little schemes to get rid of people that he doesn't like on Twitter. He's an internet tough guy, and he seems to have a little extra notch of rage reserved specifically for women. Here are a few examples of how Storms reacts when someone disagrees with him. About wrestling. Now, I'm not entirely sure of the context related to this tweet, but it's safe to assume that Storms was in some sort of fan vote or Twitter poll, and things weren't exactly going the way he thought they should be. You want a bum? Look in the mirror. Only the idiots of this community look at me and think, jobber. Now, a jobber is a wrestler who always loses. I'm an ace. I'm a game changer. I'm a history maker. I'm the guy you build a brand around. If I don't win, that's merely because the people are too stupid to vote for me. Period. I couldn't possibly have a tiny brain if I have a 3.7 GPA in college, so you can put that theory to rest. I spit the facts about wrestling, and if you can't comprehend the facts for the facts, then that's your problem, not mine. I've done nothing wrong here, you're just blind. My favorite thing about this tweet is the first reply from someone named Marcus J. He says, a 3.7 GPA? We got a fucking Mensa member over here, folks, which I needed that laugh. Thank you, Marcus J. Now, I've spoken to Storms privately twice, and some of that will be included in this video later on. What I found so interesting, though, was how polite he was to me even when I pressed him on things. He was always very respectful and complimented me, and generally treated me like I was a friend. It was interesting to see someone be so angry, so disrespectful to people on Twitter, and yet with me, a perfect angel. I generally got the sense that he was afraid of me making this video in the first place, and he was doing everything he could to make sure that I didn't make it. Unfortunately for him, though, by the time I spoke with Storms, I was already determined to make this video. He's not just an asshole in general, he's also defended some pretty nasty stuff, which I find to be totally inexcusable, and I'll address those things later on. This was a brief introduction to Storms, and the rest of the major players in this story. There's so much more to cover, much more than one video could properly lay out. So, join me in episode 2, where we'll have Bubba vs. Storms, Twitter suspensions, and the defense of something which in my opinion is undefendable. Thank you guys so much for watching the first episode of It's Still Real to Them. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I did making it. I really appreciate all the support I've gotten over the past week, and I just wanted to take a quick second to thank a few people. First up, Jada, who did the avatar I use in this video. She made me look way more badass than I ever could in real life, and I cannot recommend her enough. Follow her on Twitter at Jada the Demon. Next, I want to thank Optic Decay for the It's Still Real to Them logo. Optic is a good friend of mine, and we host a stream together Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. till noon called The Morning Decay. Stop by sometime. Be sure to follow Optic on Twitter at Optic Decay. I also want to thank my friend Travis for putting me in touch with Bubba. Without him, this video wouldn't have been possible. Again, follow Travis on Twitter at the HibickyTMD, and be sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel, link in the description. And finally, I want to thank Bubba and DJ Storms. Both were very open to talking to me, and I do appreciate them telling me their sides of the story. I might not agree with everything they've done, but they've both been very, very easy to work with, and I do, in fact, appreciate it. So that's it for episode 1. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new. If you want to support the channel, there's ways you could do so in the links down in the description. And until next time, good night, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.